Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to What's Your Plan, the only show in America dedicated 100% to reforming the Republican Party by elevating the America First MAGA movement. Now, this ain't your typical con media, news of the day, business as usual show. No, this is your home for actionable, out-of-the-box solutions, and we are calling out our reps and candidates to embrace a new era of servant leadership. So join us on our journey to transform American politics into citizen-first representation.
I think this is another area where Democrats really need to get serious about talking about what this threat is. I think you said it really well, Joe, a minute ago, where you talked about the need to stop being surprised by all of this and start taking it seriously. You know, it's really concerning to me that the Democrats haven't just gone ahead at this point and said we're doing this on our own in terms of getting a commission together to explain to the American people how we allowed the insurrection to take place in the Capitol. I think that really needs to move forward swiftly. The reality is here that we have a large percentage of the American population. I don't know how big it is, but we have tens of millions of Trump voters who continue to believe that their rights as citizens are under threat by simple virtue of having to share the democracy with others. I think as long as they see Americanness as the same as one with whiteness, this is going to continue. We have to figure out how to get every American a place at the table in this democracy, but how to separate Americanness, America, from whiteness. Until we can confront that and talk about that, this is really going to continue. I was on Long Island this weekend visiting a really dear friend, and I was really disturbed. I saw, dozens and dozens of pickup trucks with, explicatives against Joe Biden on the back of them, Trump flags, and some cases just dozens of American flags, which is also just disturbing because essentially the message was clear. It was, this is my country. This is not your country. I own this. And so until we're ready to have that conversation, this is going to continue. What really is concerning to me as well is it's not just Democrats in Congress. I think there's a large percentage of Americans, even some of my colleagues in journalism, who are invested in some way in pretending that this isn't the threat that it is. That is the real concern. Because, the Trump voters who are not going to get on board with democracy, they're a minority. You can marginalize them long term. But if we don't take the threat seriously, then I think we're all in really bad shape.
Totally agree. Mara.
How absolutely disturbing is that video? Now, I can't even, it's unbelievable. There's so much packed into this video that you just watched or just heard. And I know it's going around right now. It's all over. It's super viral. However, there's so much packed in there. We're going to unpack a bunch of that because in that 2 minutes and 30 seconds, Mara Gay lines out almost the entire agenda of the anti-racist movement of the 1619 Project, of critical race theory. The battles that are going on our school boards right now, all across America, this is the essence of that right now. And so we're gonna go back through it a little bit, and we're gonna chunk it up. And I want you to understand that it's more than just what she's saying about the flags and in that the Trump voters and such. It's the recrafting of language and the claiming of ownership of language and twisting that language into a way that demonizes. And this is complete propaganda. It's leftism. It's the tactics that they're using right now in critical race theory. It's the way that they are reclaiming meanings and definitions of language and words, phrases that we hold dear, that we've known to be truths for eons, forever, right? and what this country was built on. And it's the very reason that I'm saying with urgency to the Republican Party, start scrapping GOP, and even you want to keep the Republican Party, that's fine. And it's all its history and whatever. And there's a lot you can build on that from a messaging and a PR standpoint, a marketing standpoint. However, the left's number one goal, and the left is the Democrat Party. It's not parse any words, any language right there. The Democrat Party is a leftist, globalist organization now, and their fundamental transformation of America is this video right here explains that all in 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So if the Republican Party were smart, they would at least begin a campaign right now to start claiming rights, because they are. The Republican Party represents America, whereas the Democrat Party represents globalism, leftism, socialism, communism. That's where they're at right now. I mean, let's not mix any words about that. That's the reality. And the people fighting for America are the Republicans. And that's why Trump was able to expand the base of the Republican Party across the working class people, the people, even the immigrant class of Americans. People want that vision and that version of America. They don't want the Democrats' version of America. So it would be essential and very, very successful for the Republican Party to start claiming exclusive rights, because they actually legitimately do have the right to the word American, to the term American or America, and all of its ideologies, its history, symbolism, like the flag, and like everything else. And that's what I'm pitching. We need to start, at very least, we need to start using the term American Party. No, I'm not with the Republican Party. I'm with the American Party. Now, how much more powerful that is, as this video shows you right here, these goons and thugs and racists are stealing America from Americans. And the GOP just is senseless. They're completely senseless about that fact. And they don't have any mechanisms in place to actually combat that and counter that messaging. So when this lady's talking about the tens of millions of Trump supporters that won't get on board with democracy, the Republican Party should be talking about I don't know how many tens of millions of Democrat supporters who want to change what it is to be an American. And that, we talk about that Big Tent, we talk about that expanded base of the Republican Party. It's the people that believe in the true-blooded American vision, the vision of a more perfect union. And I want to break that down, but that's my pitch is that we need to start referring to the Republican Party as the American Party. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break right now and introduce you to the very first sponsor of the program. It's a really special moment for us, our very first sponsor of the show. Super, super excited. And ladies and gentlemen, if you've been wondering, if you've been having any issues with trying to decide on which side of the aisle you belong on, which side of the political aisle, then boy, do we have the solution for you. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have the McCarthy Comb, the very first sponsor of the What's Your Plan show, the Kevin McCarthy Comb. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the leader in bipartisan brushing. The McCarthy Comb is perfect for that Republican voter who just wants to get along with everyone and have that style that never seems to go away. It's guaranteed to comb both sides of your head equally. The McCarthy Comb is designed to keep you looking great no matter which side of your mouth you're speaking out of. You will instantly become the envy of the elites and the untouchables in your neighborhood. So whether you part your hair on the right or on the left, one thing is for sure, with the McCarthy Comb, not only will you look out of sight, but you'll be even more out of touch than ever. Folks, this is a hot item. Can hardly keep them in stock. And as much as people, they want to love these combs, it's really hard to get them right now because just like Kevin McCarthy, the combs are always selling out. So head on over to the website MostMaga, www.mostmaga.com/McCarthy. Get on the list. Get on the list so you can get them. They're probably on back order, but now, like I said, hot item. And just remember, this product is fully endorsed by Geraldo Rivera, Bernie Sanders, Liz Cheney, the DNC, and apparently the New York Times too. The McCarthy Comb, ladies and gentlemen. So happy to have them on board. So let's just break this down a little bit, and it just can't. It's so disheartening to see that this is a product. This video is a product and a result of our education system and our media, and they're basically, and of course the Democrat Party. But these are now combinations of industries. The education industry and the media industry are basically one and the same now, and they have the same mission, the same goals, and it is to subvert America. So I was going to go right back through this.
This is another area where Democrats really need to get serious about talking about what this threat is. I think you said it really well, Joe, a minute ago, where you talked about the need to stop being surprised by all of this and start taking it seriously. You know, it's really concerning to me that the Democrats haven't just gone ahead at this point and said we're doing this on our own in terms of getting a commission together to explain to the American people how we allowed the insurrection to take place in the Capitol. I think that really needs to move forward swiftly.
Okay, really quickly. She's going to go on and break down the need for people to get on board with democracy. Yet right here, she's saying to the American people, number one, I wish these people would stop saying the American people, because they don't represent the American people. But what she's saying is, look, the Democrats should just go ahead and do whatever they want anyway, without the Republicans, without the bipartisanship efforts. How's that democracy? So here she is propagandizing this whole issue that she comes up with, that she basically materializes out of like her own ideology, and she cannot escape the fact that what she wants the Democrat Party to do is exactly what she's saying that her opposition is doing.
You know, the reality is here that we have a large percentage of the American population. I don't know how big it is.
Okay, number one, the reality. Whose reality? She doesn't know how big it is. She doesn't know what it is. She doesn't know anything, but that's the reality. See, that's the thing, folks. That's an indicator. That's a tell right there that says, look, I'm telling you what the reality is. It's her reality.
It is, but we have tens of millions of Trump voters who continue to believe that their rights as citizens are under threat by simple virtue of having to share the democracy with others. I think as long as they see Americanness as the same as one with whiteness.
Okay. Did you hear what she just said? As long as they see Americanness with whiteness. Okay, who are they? So it's not she's not the one seeing Americanness with whiteness. It's they, it's them, it's us, it's the MAGAs, the deplorables, it's the Republicans, the conservatives, the Christian nationalists. It's everyone else, when in fact she's literally making up this term Americanness. She's making up this term whiteness, and that is being infused into this propaganda right now, where people are, it's obviously it's Morning Joe, but they're nodding their heads. Yes, of course. The only ones seeing Americanness, equating Americanness with whiteness, are these radical, loser, degenerate, Democrat voting propagandists. That's it. Everyone else is seeing America as America.
This is going to continue. We have to figure out how to get every American a place at the table in this democracy.
Every American, including the tens of millions of Trump supporters and Trump voters. I don't think that's what she means. And democracy, at seat at the table in this democracy.
But how to separate Americanness, America, from whiteness.
How to separate America from whiteness. What on God's good earth are we letting these people get away with here? And this, our party, the GOP, where's their campaign against this stuff?
Until we can confront that and talk about that, this is really going to continue. I was on Long Island this weekend visiting a really dear friend, and I was really disturbed. I saw, dozens and dozens of pickup trucks with, explicatives against Joe Biden.
Explicatives against Joe Biden. Did she just omit the last 5 years where they were dragging around a giant baby Trump balloon and having Trump piñatas and in Hollywood they were having fake executions with on Donald Trump with like Snoop Dogg and all the rest of them, and what's her name, Kathy Griffin with the bloody head of Trump holding up. Really?
On the back of them, Trump flags, and some cases just dozens of American flags, which is also just disturbing because essentially
in her democracy, the only people that really respect the American flag are her people.
Essentially, the message was clear. It was, this is my country. This is not your country. I own this.
This is an attack on America. So you have to peel this back. It's not, you can't just look at this as some insane woman talking like an insane woman. You have to look at this as an agenda and a campaign. And this is quite literally their process for saying, look, it's the chipping away at the American flag, at America, at the symbolism of America. We spent all of 2020 where they were tearing down statues and symbols of our history. And it didn't even matter who those people were, who those statues were of. It didn't matter. They were tearing it all down. The flag, I'm telling you, the flag and every other symbol of America, every term of that describes America is being recrafted in their image and their vision. And that's the Great Reset. That is the fundamental transformation. So you have to understand it from that context, and we have to stop, just ignoring this and just pretending it's just the ramblings of some, crazy psycho, whatever, just somebody's off the charts. This is deeply seated and infused in their ideology, which is permeated education. It's permeated everything. This critical race theory and the 1619 Project, all those teachings are permeating every major industry in corporate America, as well as healthcare, government, everything. So we cannot just ignore and pretend this is just a joke. It's not a joke. And that's why, again, I want to see the Republican Party get serious with rebranding the Republican Party and in combating this.
And so until we're ready to have that conversation, this is going to continue. What really is concerning to me as well is it's not just Democrats in Congress. I think there's a large percentage of Americans, even some of my colleagues in journalism, who are invested in some way in pretending that this isn't the threat that it is. That is the real concern. Because, the Trump voters who are not going to get on board with democracy, they're a minority.
Okay, that's about as much as I can take of that. But this should be a big alarm bell for the entire conservative movement, the MAGA movement, and everybody else involved. I mean, it really should be, because this 2.5-minute video explains in quick detail how they are going to reclaim their ownership of America. Exactly what she just told you that the Trump supporters and that which is conservatives, Republicans, blah, 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 blah. Exactly what she just told you we're doing. That's what this is aimed at doing. So if the Republican Party doesn't come to their senses and start doing something to claim exclusive rights to America. And in order to do that, they're going to have to rebrand the Democrat Party as what it is. It's a socialist, uh, communist. I mean, it's what is it? It's not American. It's the fundamental transformation, the Great Reset, and they have to figure out a better PR and messaging campaign. And that's why I say the best thing they could do is start to brand the Republican Party as the American Party. I don't have to be I'm not talking third party. I'm not talking about totally redoing the infrastructure. I'm just talking about subtleties. Talking about every time you stop saying GOP. The GOP is that's a tainted. It's a tainted term, you know, and whether that's true or not, it just is. So to counter these propaganda moves, you have to come up with propaganda of your own. However, having the truth and legitimacy on your side, because it is true that the Republican Party represents America and Americans in a far greater aspect than the Democrat Party does. So that's what they got to do. So the greatest failure of the Republican Party, in my opinion, in the near future will be their inability to save America from being completely redefined by powerful Marxist strategies that are already being successfully entrenched in all aspects of American society. The radical left has been engaged in this culture war for generations, using tactics that propagandize, manipulate, indoctrinate the masses, and it's working, folks. The Republican Party's failure to make America social, cultural traditions the primary filter through which all their policies and decisions flow, that and basically the hill that they will die on is 100% why we find ourselves experiencing mass chaos, violence, division, hatred, anarchy, lawlessness, corruption, and the unleashing of alternative lifestyle as, quote, the new normal. It's kind of like the immovable object meets the unstoppable force paradigm, right? No matter how successful the country becomes, like it did under Trump, which it was ultra successful, the more highly empowered and emboldened these radical leftists, they feel obligated and quite frankly validated to literally burn America to the ground. And actually, the more successful the country becomes, the more the middle class expands, the harder they are going to fight against it. And the Trump presidency really absolutely validated this phenomenon, because during Trump's tenure, we had unprecedented social and cultural chaos that resulted in widespread acceptance of an alternative view of America, a view that is anti-America, and a view that requires the masses to believe that America is rotten to its core, its foundation is rooted in slavery, racism, white supremacy, colonization. And for those reasons, America is to be ashamed. And a new racial and social justice transformation is the only way to redeem this sinful country. In order to accomplish that, the fundamental transformation, radical, social, cultural, economic, political change must redefine America. They must redefine America and what it is to be an American in order for them to succeed. So this is exactly why during Trump's first term, the left rapidly and relentlessly unleashed so much systematic chaos and anarchy aimed at tearing down our history, demonizing American symbols like our great flag, extorting politicians and corporations, intimidating judges and courts. They need to force their evil Marxist ideology into America, and it comes in the form of BLM, CRT, Antifa, defund the police, anti-racism, social justice, all scams. But true-blooded Americans from all walks of life have seriously woken up again. And this immovable object that meets the unstoppable force conundrum is happening. The American spirit, American ingenuity, it just refuses to die. Unfortunately, though, the Republican Party at every turn seems willing to ignore and even, quite frankly, tolerate the theft of America, as long as they can get a seat at the table. They went as far as to consistently abandon and sell out Trump and the voters. And that betrayal is the reason we are seeing a massive restructuring of the Republican Party. Yes, folks, it's turning MAGA. Why? Because the GOP is absolutely not fit to fight the war we find ourselves in right now. Unfortunately, the Republican Party is so disjointed, it's fragmented, it's incoherent, incohesive, unfocused, it's missionless, and sadly, it's messageless. They're so intimidating and weak that they can be coerced into capitulating rather than hardline stance and articulating absolutely firm messaging. No critical race theory, no Black Lives Matter, no trans mafia, no Antifa, no 1619 projects, no media censorship and propaganda, no anti-racism, no open borders, and no exceptions. So it's this call to action that I'm proposing that the Republicans of strength, the MAGA Republicans, begin to make their highest priority fighting this invasion of Marxism by first adopting a new brand for the Republican Party, the American Party. After all, it's Trump's America First brand, mission, and message that dramatically opened the GOP to disenfranchised minority and working class communities. It's Trump's America First brand, mission, and message that historically increased the GOP voter base. And it's only Trump's America First brand, mission, and message that is fit to fight and win the war for America. So the time is now. The only party standing for America, the real America, not this Marxist America, to claim exclusive rights to America and everything American and save our American culture for future generations. So honestly, we stop with the fake American rhinos, the crusty old corporate GOP? Can we drop the new pandering RNC with the big tent clown show? If voters wanted a circus, they should join the Democrat Party. If they want freedom, liberty, security, and opportunity, they should join the American Party. That's what it's all about, folks.